to Apologetics Simplified. Let me tell you, this is the weirdest episode we've done so far. Because we are not in Virginia, not in Texas. We are in Georgia, which is where we grew up. And obviously, we have many guests with us. And this is going to be a little bit of an odd episode because we're not really talking about apologetics. But we are going to be telling some fun stories, and just a little bit of a why, besides the fact that this was easy, was that I believe that laughter is good medicine, and there's a lot going on in the world right now. And so we're just going to take a little bit of time, take a break from this series on world religions, and just laugh. Proverbs 17:22, I'm reading from the CSB, says, "A joyful heart is a good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones." So today there will be no broken spirits. We will be laughing, and we will be filling ourselves up with this good medicine of laughter, and hopefully we'll be passing that along to you as well. So to get us started, we're going to go around and say our names, and I'm going to ask everyone to also tell us their favorite comedy, and we'll get started. So you probably know me, but my name is Leah Chapman. I am the founder of the Apologetics Simplified podcast and of Colloquial Theology, which is the ministry that creates this podcast. And my favorite comedy has got to be The Big Bang Theory. I've been rewatching it on YouTube TV, and it just makes me so happy. So, all right, your turn.
I'm Phill Chapman. I'm married to this one. Pointing at Leah if you're not watching on video. My favorite comedy is Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's been around since before I was born and still going, as a matter of fact. And I love that they just come up with all this crazy stuff off the top of their heads.
I am Sarah Foster. I am the mother of your hosts. And my favorite comedy is the movie Shrek. I love all of the hidden and not hidden humor in it. And my favorite character has got to be Donkey.
Very good. And my name is Daddy, also known as Greg Foster. Also Daddy, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But favorite comedy, I'm as the oldest one here, I guess I need to go furthest back. I would say MASH. I just used to love watching MASH.
Look it up, you millennials.
He's a millennial, and he's watched it.
I had a 90-year-old grandfather.
Okay, so I'm something less than 90, but...
That wasn't a dig, I promise.
Hello, my name is Andrew. I'm this one's sister. I was pointing to Leah.
If you're not watching on video, hop over to YouTube.
Also, I am not Leah's sister. I am Leah's brother. Leah is my sister.
You are Leah's sister?
Thanks for helping me out with that one. But anyway, my favorite comedy is My Everyday Life. Just kidding. My favorite comedy, it varies. I've been watching a lot of the classics right now, so I'll go with the one I'm currently on, and that's The Office. I finally caved and watched The Office, and it is truly as amazing as everyone says.
We also have two other guests, but I don't know where they are. They like to be under tables. Come here.
Back here.
Come here. Give us a second. This one, we should have picked them up in advance, is Fudge. Hello. Her favorite comedy is, what would her favorite comedy be? They like to watch Tucker Budson, as do I, which is why they like to watch it, and he's hilarious. What do you think? What do you think Setta's would be?
I think Setta's favorite comedy should be All in the Family, because she's grumpy like Archie Bunker.
She does groan
She does groan a lot.
Yeah.
And she loves recliners.
Yes, she does.
Well, now that we've met everybody, let's just talk about things. You know, we are in a beautiful setting here. You can't see it, but there's some great mountains just that way. We have this great setting to record this podcast.
It kind of looks like we are in Texas, though.
Yeah, I guess it kind of does.
Yeah, the star up there.
And luckily, we had all the tech equipment we needed to do most of this. I did have to get a little bit creative with one microphone stand here. As you might see, it is in fact a water bottle. I guess, you know, that extra mic stand was just a little too expensive, which reminds me, we do have a Patreon page and other ways to donate. You can donate at leahchapman.org/donate.
There's also a link to the Patreon there, so it's an all-inclusive donation link.
So if you want to help us get out of the water bottle.
So if somebody were to donate enough, would you put their label on the water bottle for the next video episode?
Totally.
Next time we do a video episode with a water bottle, we'll do that.
Absolutely. Although there are cool perks, like I don't remember exactly what the tiers are for each giving level, but for a pretty low level, you can get a shout out on the podcast. It starts at $5. You can get a shout out. For some of the tiers, you can get some t-shirts. So there's all sorts of cool perks besides just helping us buy mic stands. So we're going to get into telling some stories. So the first story I think we should talk about today was really a series of stories. It was really more like a character trait of Andrew's. I don't know if it's over. You're going to have to tell us. But, Mari, could you tell us about this character trait?
He drops things in important times, like during concerts. So in Andrew, again, this is an early band concert.
How old was he?
Oh, 6th grade and up. So it was about 3 years worth of dropping things and losing things during concerts. So
things like music.
Like music.
And instruments.
Okay. I had everything placed on the correct stand. Someone came and rearranged the stands.
Yeah, so what you've learned is that you keep your music with your stuff. But so in the process of concerts, he's dropped a tambourine, which is loud and clangy, and a music stand turned over.
With triangles on it.
With triangles on it. And then you may have heard the story about him hitting his head on the bottom of a large wooden cross, and that was also very loud. And but we thought maybe these traits had healed themselves.
He's kind of grown out of it.
Throughout his high school years, because he was a award-winning high school musician. Both of my children were. They both got the John Philip Sousa Award.
Yeah, we did.
A National Music Award. I was real proud of that, and they stay in my house. And
because she thinks she earned them.
It's my payment for all the music lessons. But we thought maybe Andrew had outgrown this dropping things, and until he made a comment to us. Actually, I saw a Facebook comment from one of his friends about needing replacement timpani mallets. During a concert, he was playing timpani. Apparently his hand got sweaty and his timpani mallet flew out of his hand into the audience at the feet of one of his music professors. During a big song, when he was going to need that said mallet for a big roll in the middle of the song, and he was sitting there thinking, what am I going to do to get this roll going? And then his professor walks up to the edge of the stage and rolls it to him on the stage underneath the timpani just in time for him to pick it up and play the roll.
That's like a movie. Like just in time.
I think I need to give my perspective on this. So I'm playing this song.
It's a great story.
Really great piece written by a friend of mine, Brock Snow. Check out his music. Plug. There you go. So I'm on timpani, and it's just this real epic cinematic sound, and then it's just a lot of these bold hits, and then I do one, and then I do a proper rebound, except I don't have enough of a grip. It just goes flying off, so I can one-hand this. But yes, as we're going, I'm seeing that roll at the end of the piece. I think I kind of look panicked at my professor. And he stands up, grabs it, slides it to me right between the drums. I'm able to swoop down, grab it, and who knows what kind of grip it was. But it was
a panic grip, probably.
What would you have done? What was your plan?
I didn't know.
Could you have used one of the mallets for the xylophone or something?
Oh, there wasn't one nearby.
So the lesson that he's learned.
Always have a spare.
Yeah. That trap table needs that trap door on it.
Have you gotten better?
I haven't dropped things in a while. So.
That's good. So maybe you've finally grown out of that character trait.
I love how we're talking about him dropping things, but you're the queen of dropping things.
Before we started recording, we were about to go and I'm like, all right, and I had a can, and it went poof, and fortunately it missed the mics.
don't break my mics.
Yeah, Andrew brought all of these from Virginia himself.
And the irony of that is I just asked him if he was okay with me having this water this close to his equipment. And he said, yeah, I'm okay.
It's not that I fried a keyboard back in March with some sparkling water.
Yeah, and you never saw the panicked look on your band director's face one time when you were tight walking right on the edge of the stage around some
With a
piece
marimba.
of equipment.
No, I was holding a snare drum.
Yeah, and she knew you were going to go crashing into the audience.
And I
you
did
didn't.
not.
You did not.
It's good.
I have an excellent sense of balance.
Our next story happened in 2003. Andrew and I were a whopping 7 and 10, and they took us on a family vacation out west, even out wester than Texas, which is excellent grammar. So, could y'all tell us a little bit about that trip and some of the interesting things that happened?
Sure, it was a fun trip. It was our first really big trip. I think if I remember right, it was a 13-day trip. So it was a major trip. We flew into, I believe it was Albuquerque, New Mexico, and took this big, about 2,000-mile loop by car over a long period. But we saw all kind of cool things. One day in particular was really special, though. We had gotten up early that morning. We were going to go, had various things in mind, and there was this place called Dinosaur Tracks where you've got supposedly petrified dinosaur tracks in the desert. And we thought that'd be a cool thing to see. We're driving right past it anyway. So we get there, and I don't remember, it's 10 in the morning or whatever time it is. It was our first stop. And get up there, and there's some people there who are willing to be tour guides for you, just kind of show you around, because otherwise you just see desert and you don't really know what you're doing. And he can take you to those tracks and all. So we did that. Well, I walked up this tour guide. He was a short little guy, but super friendly, real nice guy. But I could sense a unique aroma about him. And it was obvious that even though it was 9 or 10 in the morning, our tour guide was
Snockered.
quite drunk. So I kind of, he was a small guy and seemed real friendly, but I had 2 small kids and a wife there. I kind of motioned to Sarah, just y'all lay back a little bit. Well, she picked up on real quick. So she's with the kids. I'm walking probably 20 feet ahead, and he's telling me all about this place, and he's showing me all these cool things. One of the things he told me, picked up this little piece of rock, nice little shiny rock, and it was kind of a tannish brown color, and he told me, this is petrified dinosaur liver.
And he turns around to me because I'm eavesdropping the whole thing, and he mouths.
Yeah, I said, petrified dinosaur liver.
And we're like,
thinking, there's only one petrified liver here. It's not the dinosaurs. But anyway, that's kind of how the day got started.
Yeah.
But our next destination was a place called Four Corners. It's where 4 states come together. Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah all come together at one point. And so we were all excited about this place. We get there thinking, we're going to get there and take some pictures of this little monument, and then we'll move on to something else. Well, we weren't the only ones excited about it. There were a lot of people there. And it was like a kind of an arts and crafts festival. They had all kind of neat pottery and all kind of things like that set up around there. But there were a lot of people waiting to take pictures at the Four Corners marker. So we're waiting our turn, and it's hot, and everybody, y'all were great for 7 and 10 years old. You were very patient and everything, but finally it came our turn. The family ahead of us cleared off the monument, and I said, all right, let's go, because I wanted to, out of respect to everybody else, hurry up and get the picture, because there's a lot of people behind us. Y'all took off. You being taller were the faster of the 2, and you kind of ran and jumped right on that brass marker that has the cross sign on it of where they all come together. Highly polished brass marker, I might add.
They had just polished it.
Your foot hit that thing, it just slid right out from under you, and you landed on this granite that the thing was sitting on, a loud thud. Well, Andrew, of course, he didn't want his sister to be beating him like that. You were right there with him, and you tagged onto that thing too, and you wiped out the same way. And you hear all these gasps from all these people who are watching these things. And of course, we ran up and made sure they were okay. But as soon as we realized y'all were okay, I started thinking, this is a truly special moment. Because probably in all of time, Sarah and I are the only mother and father who have had our 2 children fall in 4 states at the same time within seconds of each other. It was a beautiful memory.
I mean, really, it's on the top of my resume.
I know. I'm just really glad we could do that for our family. It's a legacy we're leaving. And now it's on the internet.
Yes.
So proud.
We're sorry, Four Corners.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, fortunately, we didn't break the monument, and the monument didn't break them.
And I got a great mug. So there we go.
That's what's important.
Yeah, got to get those mugs and souvenirs.
We have a lot of them.
That's what traveling's about, right? The souvenirs.
Yeah.
Right. And the pictures.
You can
And the
look in
pictures, the family moments.
the T-shirt people. You can look in their dresser drawer and tell them where they've been on vacation for the last 19 years.
Too much. That's true.
Well, that's been a fun little story. And our next story was, well, It was a memorable experience in a very explosive sort of way. You might be thinking this might have something to do with maybe the 4th of July or New Year's when people set off fireworks. No, this was a different type of explosion.
It's not gross, we promise.
It was a soda explosion. Just caught that. Okay, so it was summer of some year. We had traveled to North Carolina. We just spent a little time in the Outer Banks, and then we went inland to Charlotte. We'd just gotten back from the Billy Graham Library, which is really fantastic. If you get the chance to go, absolutely go. But it was, 100-something degrees most of the time we were there.
It was hot.
And so a lot of our stuff, we hadn't gotten to the hotel yet, was just in the car all day while we were doing the tourist thing. So as we're driving to the hotel, suddenly we hear, boom, from the back of the car. We're like, what is that? And then that boom was followed by a kind of a sound.
Yeah, when I first heard it, I thought we'd blown a tire. And then I hear this sound that was way too wet to be air.
So eventually we realized that the cans of soda in the back of our car had it with the heat and decided to depressurize. So we drove to the hotel very carefully the rest of the way, got into the parking garage, and so it was time to get those the heck out of the car.
At that point, only one can had... Yeah.
So we were driving really carefully. And so I opened up the lift gate to the station wagon real carefully and looked, fortunately the cans were close to the back, so they didn't get, the one that exploded didn't get too much stuff messed up. But we were going to take them out and just set them on fire. So I mentioned we'll just reach in there carefully, slowly, gently grab those cans, one can at a time, and gently lift it out and put it on the concrete. So Andrew, always wanting to be helpful and eager to help, did almost just what I said.
So there was the box full of these cans, and we had to get the cans out of the concrete. So I reach into the box of cans. There was a pop, which I guess, some of our northern listeners might associate with soda anyway. There was a loud popping sound. Luckily, I was not injured, got a little wet and sticky, but...
Yes. So he reached, I just told him, be real gentle. He reaches in there and makes sure he's got a good grip on that can. And just that was all pressure, all it took for boom. And I said, gentler than that.
So for those of you wondering about the safety of the other contents of our luggage, Leah and I had already taken out our luggage and taken it up to the room. So,
I feel like with the stories, I wonder if some of our listeners are gonna give us links to therapists and things like that. There's definitely something wrong with these people.
Or maybe ask for recommendations from us.
So, a little public service announcement about the southern United States heat is it not only will it give you heat stroke, put you in a hospital, or hurt you real bad, it'll also turn your soda cans into nitroglycerin.
Warning!
So, next time you are driving around in 100-degree heat with cans of pressurized liquid in your vehicle, just remember...
Put it in a cooler.
Yeah.
So our last story has to do more with Phill than the other one, since I didn't know he existed in those stories. So we started dating 8 years ago, and 6 years ago we got engaged. And so this story comes from that moment. And I was about to say I wasn't there. I wasn't there for the story we're about to tell. I was there for the engagement. But
you said yes, by the way.
Yeah.
Who was that blonde girl?
So you're ahead of me then, because she has yet to say yes, even though we've been married for almost 35 years.
34 years.
Getting on to 35. We're in our 35th now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so...
yes.
But being traditional and respectful of his future in-laws, he wanted to have a conversation about our future together. And getting engaged eventually was not a surprise. Like, we had been talking about getting married for quite some time.
A year and a half at that point.
In fact, on our first date, he couldn't stop talking about how weird it is to talk about marriage on a first date.
Yeah.
If that gives you some ideas.
So this should give you a foreshadowing. When I get nervous, I ramble.
Yeah. So, so the wanting to get engaged, not a surprise. I knew what was happening, but he lived in Florida, and so coming up to talk to my parents was a trek in and of itself, and I'll kind of let you take it from here.
Yeah, that was a 6-hour drive that I don't really remember the drive, but I remember, like, listening to all of the calming music I had on my iPod at that point, and then, like, on repeat for 6 hours, and, so I had emailed you. That June was particularly busy for you. So I had emailed you, talking to Dad here, that I wanted to set aside a time to talk maybe that Friday night. And so we did. And then Mom cooked the three of us a really nice dinner because Andrew and Leah were off doing their own things. Leah was working at a summer camp and Andrew was off at...
It was a church camp.
Church thing. Okay, I was thinking it was a Scouts thing. So we had dinner, and then Dad and I stayed out on the patio, and Mom went inside to piddle around and do probably work a little bit because you were still whatever.
She was just giving you space.
Yeah, giving us space.
Giving you space.
Monitoring from a distance. So
Texting Leah's worried, responding to Leah's worried text.
Yeah, so Dad and I sitting out there talking, and as I said before, when I'm nervous, I ramble. It was a good result, but it was kind of a traumatic experience for me. Because up until this point, he wasn't Dad, he was Mr. Foster, and he was my girlfriend's dad. And so I'm sitting there, we're talking, and we talked for about everything. I mean, a lot of things, and all kind of related to Leah. And I don't remember a lot of the conversation, but one of the main things that I remember for that conversation, and to this day it still cracks me up, is you looked at me and go, when I first met you, I thought you were really funny, but I didn't like you. And I was like, yeah, I kind of picked up on that. Fortunately, we have grown. Oh, yeah. We have a really good relationship
Absolutely.
Now. And so we talked for probably close to 2 hours, I would think. And Mom finally had to come and, like, bail me out. And it kind of helped because I still, at almost 2 hours, I still hadn't asked you.
Yeah, I was still waiting for when we're going to... I knew it was coming. At that time, I did not know whether or not you knew it was coming, or you arrived early knowing she was going to be coming back from that summer camp the next day. But, yeah, that was so funny. We doing it. And I remember one point, we were out there. It had already gotten dark. I think we had some torches lit or something like that, but mosquitoes were really getting after you. So you ended up with this one of these Centronella candles and lit it and put it down at your feet, try to keep the mosquitoes away. Right. Fortunately, they don't tend to. I think it's because I keep all y'all around, and y'all are super mosquito attractors. So I don't ever have any issues with mosquitoes. But,
and I'm like a buffet. So
yeah, I'm sitting there feeling sorry for you because you felt it was the right thing to do, as you said. The old-fashioned, listen, it's the right way to
ask for the blessing.
Ask the blessing. I never did that with her, Dad. So, it was probably a foregone conclusion for him a long time that we would be getting married.
It worked out.
But I'd never gone through this, so I'd never had to go sit in your chair.
Yeah.
It was new to me, too. Obviously, I'd never had anybody wanting to marry Leah before either. But just in case you're wondering. That was the first time. But yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm kind of feeling for you. Like, I know he's nervous and uptight and doesn't know what to do.
And I ramble when I'm nervous.
And I'm sitting there thinking, so do I bait it for him? Do I just throw something out there that let him turn onto it? And I'm sitting there, no, I'm going to let him do it. Whatever he's got, I'm going to let him do. and yeah, eventually you came out.
I came out and I was behind Phill and I looked at Greg and just kind of did the eyebrow thing, and he was like, and I don't remember what I said. But I bailed him out. I bailed Phill out and gave him the opportunity to say, so I would like to propose.
You came out and you talked to me about how you had seen Leah and I's relationship growing and what you had, and how proud you were of how much growth I'd shown. Because I don't know how I remember this is coming back to me in a moment. I'll just say I was not material that they would want around their daughter, period, when I first showed up. Fortunately, through a lot of grace and a lot of guidance and a lot of patience, I ended up and a lot of help from Leah, I ended up going on the path that I'm at now. And you came out and just kind of pointed it that direction. I was and I finally realized that there was
Opening.
An opening. I was thinking more of one of those like lifesaver things that throw you off the side of the boat. And I latched onto it and finally was like, I would like your permission to marry your daughter. And you were both like, yeah,
Yes.
that's fine. I was like, and then I think I shocked both of you. I was like, I have the ring. Do you want to see it? And you were like, yeah, great.
Yeah.
And that was the surprise for me, is because even though I knew we were going to get married eventually, I didn't think I was getting engaged that weekend.
Yeah.
But we came back and went for a nice dinner to celebrate my parents saying, yeah, you can marry our daughter. And then you proposed. And
Yeah, I took her out to an Italian restaurant. I had called the week before to tell, I was very optimistic at this. I called the Italian restaurant there in the town square. What's the name of that place?
Dominic's.
Dominic's, okay. Mm-hmm. I called them and I told them, hey, I made a reservation, told them I'm going to be asking my girlfriend to marry me. And they were like, oh, great. Da, 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 da. And so when we came in and I said the name for the reservation, the little hostess winked at me and took us back to the table and everything. And so we ate our dinner. And I can't be the only one there's no way I'm the only one that was this anxious going through this. But about halfway through my chicken carbonara, or at the time, just to irritate her, I called it chicken carburetor. And she's giving me a look like she wants to hit me in the head, but I couldn't take it anymore. So I slipped out of my chair, pulled the ring out, and instead of doing like the will you marry me thing like traditionally, I was so nervous I said, will you be my wife?
no, you said, will you do the honor, or something about the honor.
Do me the honor of being my wife.
That was it. It was
Yeah,
sweet.
okay,
That was
sounds
good.
like me. She says yes, and the waitress came out, and she was mad at me. She was like, yeah, I was going to take a picture for you, and you didn't give me a warning. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't know this was about you. And then everybody in the place was wanting to buy us drinks. They were like, let us buy you champagne.
The summer camp I was working for, we weren't allowed to drink, which I wanted to respect, and then...
And we were like, no, we don't drink, we don't
Sorry.
drink. Yeah.
It was about time.
So, that was really nice and really sweet. As we mentioned earlier, I was away at a church camp, a really great thing that my home church does every year, where they get the youth involved in local mission. And I'd done that several years. Usually when I get home, we'd have good, like, solid 2-hour discussion, like, what kind of work did you do? Tell us about the client, any relationships. So, I came back and I'm ready for all this. I'm starting to tell them things, and it's just like, nothing. Like, yeah, we don't care. Eventually, I look over to Leah, and I see a little ring on her finger, and I'm like, oh, that's what happened. So, thanks for telling me.
You're welcome. You figured it out.
I do appreciate, at least being invited to the wedding.
So a little side funny story. We get back to the house after this, and she's already texting people and texting them and telling them. And then we get back, and I've texted people too. And I get back to the house, and apparently I had forgotten to text my best friend.
Oops.
And he knew I was doing it. And so I get a text from my best friend. His name is David, and we have pet names for each other. He's Cupcake, and I'm Puddin'. And so I look down at my phone. He goes, "Is there a Mrs. Cupcake yet, or Mrs. Puddin' yet?"
Whoops. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think I speak for all of us when we say we're very happy to have you as part of the family.
I'm happy to be a part of the family.
Absolutely.
And I hope you all enjoyed getting to know us and learning some of these funny stories from our past that might inform you about why we are the way that we are.
We're so sorry.
Probably.
And special thanks to our family for being on. Mm-hmm. And thank you all for joining us. We hope you laughed with us, and have a great day. God bless.